You are a Christian prince. Your father was martyred fighting the Ottoman Sultan. Your lands are occupied. Your sister is a prize in the Sultan's harem. And yet, here you are on a dusty plain in Anatolia, the last shield standing between that very same Sultan and his doom. Your knights are the only loyal force left as his empire crumbles around him. This isn't a nightmare. This was the reality for Stefan Lazarevic, Europe's greatest knight, forced to become the ultimate weapon for his conqueror. And this single, desperate charge would be the key that unlocked his nation's survival.
To understand the man, you have to understand the catastrophe that forged him. The year is 1389. The place, Kosovo Polia, the field of blackbirds. Stefan is just a boy, perhaps 12 years old, when his father, Prince Lazar, leads a coalition of Balkan forces against the unstoppable Ottoman army of Sultan Murad I. It was a battle for the soul of the Balkans. Both leaders, Prince Lazar and Sultan Murad, would die on that field, but the outcome was a disaster for the Serbs. Their nobility was decimated, their army shattered. For young Stefan, it wasn't just the death of a father, it was the death of his world. Serbia was broken, leaderless, and kneeling at the feet of the new Sultan, Bayazid the Thunderbolt.
What do you do when the wolf is at the door? Do you fight and guarantee annihilation, or do you bargain? Stefan's mother, Princess Malika, acting as regent, chose survival. But the price was staggering. Serbia would become a vassal state. This meant paying a hefty annual tribute, and worse, providing soldiers for the Sultan's campaigns. Stefan, the new prince, was now obligated to fight under the banner of the man responsible for his father's death. But there was one more deeply personal price. Stefan's youngest sister, the beautiful Olivera, was to be sent to Sultan Bayazid's harem. It was a move of pure political calculus, meant to bind the two houses. But for Stefan, it was a constant burning humiliation. His own sister, a hostage to ensure his loyalty. And fight he did. Stefan Lazarevic wasn't just a token vassal, he quickly proved to be one of Bayazid's most formidable commanders. He and his contingent of heavily armored Serbian knights became the elite shock troops of the Ottoman army. They were deployed wherever the fighting was thickest. At the Battle of Rovine in 1395, fighting against the Wallachians, it was Stefan's steadfastness that reportedly saved the Ottoman army from a rout. Imagine the psychological torment, fighting against fellow Christians, helping to expand the very empire that had subjugated his own people. Bayazid, for his part, grew to respect, perhaps even admire the young prince's martial skill and unwavering loyalty. A strange, complex bond formed between the conqueror and his most valuable captive.
In 1396, Europe decided it had had enough. Pope Boniface IX called for a great crusade to drive the Ottomans out of the Balkans once and for all. A massive army, led by the future Holy Roman Emperor Sigismund of Hungary and packed with the flower of French nobility, marched down the Danube. They were arrogant, undisciplined, and utterly confident of victory. They laid siege to the Ottoman fortress of Nicopolis, expecting Bayazid to cower. They had no idea what was coming. Bayazid, with his Serbian vassal Stefan in tow, force-marched his army at incredible speed to meet them. The stage was set for one of the last great battles of the crusading era. The Battle of Nicopolis was a masterclass in hubris. The French knights, ignoring Sigismund's battle plan, charged prematurely and unsupported straight up a hill. They were met not by the main Ottoman line, but by a screen of irregular troops and rows of sharpened stakes that devastated their horses. After fighting their way through on foot, exhausted, they finally reached the crest, only to find Bayazid's elite janissaries and sipahis waiting for them, fresh and ready. The French charge was annihilated. All the while, Stefan and his Serbian knights were held in reserve. He was forced to watch as the pride of Christian Europe was systematically slaughtered. His moment was yet to come. As the main body of the Crusader army under Sigismund engaged the Ottoman center, the battle hung in the balance. This was the critical moment. And it was then that Bayazid unleashed his trump card. On the Ottoman left flank, Stefan Lazarevic and his 5,000 heavy knights slammed into Sigismund's forces. It was the decisive blow. A Christian prince fighting with devastating effect against a Crusader army. The shock of the charge, combined with the earlier losses, shattered the Crusader coalition. Sigismund barely escaped with his life, fleeing on a boat down the Danube. The Great Crusade was not just a failure, it was a massacre. And Stefan Lazarevic had been instrumental in the victory of his master. The aftermath was horrific. Enraged by his own losses and the Crusaders' massacre of Ottoman prisoners at a previous town, Bayazid ordered the execution of thousands of captured knights. The slaughter went on for hours. In this carnage, we see a glimpse of Stefan's character. He reportedly recognized a French knight he knew and successfully pleaded with the Sultan to spare him. For his crucial role in the battle, Bayazid rewarded Stefan. He granted him control over lands belonging to his treacherous rival in Serbia, Vuk Brankovic. It was a shrewd move by the Sultan, further solidifying Stefan's power back home, but also deepening the internal divisions among the Serbs, ensuring they remained too busy with their own squabbles to unite against him.
For 6 years after Nicopolis, Bayazid's power seemed absolute. He was the master of the Balkans and Anatolia. But he had grown arrogant, consumed by his own legend as the Thunderbolt. He was unaware that a far greater storm was gathering in the east. From the steppes of Central Asia came Timur, or Tamerlane the Lame, a conqueror on a scale not seen since Genghis Khan. He had forged a colossal empire through sheer brutality and military genius. Now his ambitions clashed with Bayazid's. Timur saw Bayazid as an upstart, and Bayazid saw Timur as a challenger to his dominance. A collision between these two titans was inevitable. In the summer of 1402, the two armies met on the plains of Ankara. It was a battle of giants. Bayazid commanded a huge force, but it was a fragile coalition of Ottoman Turks, Janissaries, and vassals from both Anatolia and the Balkans, including Stefan Lazarevic and his Serbs. Timur's army was a hardened, disciplined force of Mongols, Turks, and Persians, loyal to him alone. And Timur was not just a brute, he was a cunning strategist. Before the battle even began, he outmaneuvered Bayazid, diverting the local river and seizing the only water source, leaving the Ottoman army to bake under the brutal Anatolian sun for days. Bayazid, overconfident as ever, had walked right into a trap. When the battle finally began, the Ottoman army disintegrated almost immediately. The Anatolian Turkish beyliks, who had been forcibly conquered by Bayazid, held a grudge. Timur had secretly been in contact with them, promising to restore their lands. As soon as the fighting started, they switched sides. The entire Ottoman left flank collapsed. Then the right flank, composed of Tartars, also defected. In a matter of hours, Bayazid's grand army was gone. Only his core of 10,000 elite Janissaries and his Balkan vassals, led by Stefan Lazarevic, remained on the field, completely surrounded. In the heart of the chaos stood Stefan Lazarevic. While the Sultan's own people had abandoned him, his Christian vassal held firm. The Serbian knights fought with the courage of despair, a disciplined island in a sea of rout and betrayal.
Chronicles from both sides of the conflict speak of their incredible bravery. Stefan saw the situation was hopeless. He fought his way to the Sultan, who was stubbornly holding his ground on a small hill, and begged him to escape. He pleaded with him, telling him the battle was lost and he must save himself. But Bayazid, in a fit of pride, refused to flee. He would not run from Timur. It was a decision that would seal his fate.
Seeing that the Sultan was lost to his own pride, Stefan made a calculated decision. He could not save the father, but perhaps he could save the empire's future, and in doing so, save himself. He gathered his remaining men and did the unthinkable. He charged, not at Timur, not for glory, but straight through the enemy lines to create an escape route for Bayezid's eldest son and heir, Süleyman Çelebi. It was a desperate, suicidal gamble. He was carving a path out of the apocalypse, sacrificing his men to save the son of the man who had taken everything from him. He succeeded. Süleyman escaped, and with him, the continuity of the Ottoman dynasty. He then turned and fought his way back to the doomed Sultan's position.
But there was no saving Bayezid. Eventually, his janissaries were whittled down, and the Sultan himself, the Thunderbolt, was captured. The stories say Timur mocked him, asking what God had to do with giving the world to a lame man and a cross-eyed man. He was famously paraded in a barred litter, a cage on display, a living trophy of Timur's victory. The Ottoman Sultan, who had made all of Europe tremble, was now a prisoner. The Ottoman Empire, in a single afternoon, had effectively ceased to exist. For Stefan, who had fought to the bitter end for his captor, this was the moment everything changed. The board was wiped clean. His servitude was over.
But freedom came at a price. Stefan was now a lone commander with a few thousand exhausted men deep in hostile territory. The journey home was a nightmare. Remnants of the Ottoman army, now leaderless, turned to banditry. Worse, his own Serbian rivals, the Brankovic family, saw this as an opportunity. They tried to block his path home, to seize power while he was vulnerable. The chaos of the Ottoman collapse had spilled over into his own lands. He had to fight his way through Anatolia, across the Bosphorus, and through the Balkans, battling not just Turks, but his own countrymen, to reclaim a throne that was rightfully his. Back in the Balkans, the sons of Bayezid began a decade-long civil war known as the Ottoman Interregnum. The empire was tearing itself apart, and in the middle of this chaos was Stefan Lazarevic. He was no longer a simple vassal. He was now a kingmaker. The rival Ottoman princes all needed his support. They needed his battle-hardened knights. Suddenly, the man who was once their father's servant was now their most sought-after ally. Stefan, the pragmatist, played the game brilliantly. He would support one brother, then another, constantly shifting alliances to ensure that no single one could become powerful enough to threaten Serbia again. He was using their civil war as a shield to rebuild his own nation. While juggling the Ottoman princes, Stefan also looked north. He made an alliance with his old enemy, Sigismund of Hungary. It was a stunning reversal. The two men had fought on opposite sides at Nicopolis, but now they recognized a common interest in keeping the Ottomans weak and divided. Through this alliance and with his newfound prestige, Stefan secured a great diplomatic victory. In 1402, he traveled to Constantinople and was granted the title of Despot by the Byzantine emperor. This was a huge deal. It was the highest title in the Byzantine court after the emperor himself, elevating Stefan from a mere prince to a recognized sovereign, a true autocrat in his own right. As part of his alliance with Hungary, Sigismund granted Stefan control of a crucial city, Belgrade. At the time, it was little more than a ruin, but Stefan saw its potential.
Located at the strategic meeting point of the Sava and Danube rivers, it was the perfect key to defending both Serbia and Hungary. He made Belgrade his capital and poured immense resources into transforming it. He built massive double walls, a fortified castle, and a protected river harbor. In a few short years, the ruins were transformed into one of the most formidable fortresses in Europe, the White City, a bastion against any future Ottoman expansion.
In 1408, Stefan's prestige reached a new height. He became a founding member of one of the most exclusive chivalric orders in Europe, the Order of the Dragon. Created by Sigismund, its stated purpose was to defend the cross and fight the enemies of Christianity, particularly the Ottoman Turks. Its members were the elite of Central and Eastern Europe. Stefan was not just a member, he was ranked first among the founding knights, a testament to his reputation as a warrior. This was the ultimate irony. The man who had served as the Sultan's sword for over a decade was now the leading knight in an order created specifically to destroy the Sultan's empire. Other members would include the father of a certain Vlad the Impaler, Vlad Dracul, whose name Dracul literally meant the dragon. Stefan's reign was not just about war and diplomacy. With the nation secure for the first time in a generation, he fostered a cultural golden age. He was a patron of the arts and literature. He established a famous school of translation and transcription at his monastery of Manasija, which became a beacon of Slavic culture. Scholars and artists flocked to Serbia, which had become a safe haven. Stefan himself was a highly educated man and a talented writer. His most famous work, A Word of Love, is a beautiful piece of medieval poetry. He was that rare combination, a brilliant general, a cunning diplomat, and a man of letters. He was building not just forts, but a national identity. For years, Serbia had been plagued by the internal rivalry between Stefan's family, the Lazarevici, and his cousins, the Brankovici. This division had been exploited by the Ottomans time and again. Using his newfound power and authority, Stefan finally put an end to it. Through a mix of military pressure and savvy diplomacy, he reconciled with his nephew, Juraj Brankovic, uniting the Serbian lands under a single ruler for the first time since before the Battle of Kosovo. This internal peace was perhaps his greatest domestic achievement. A united Serbia was a strong Serbia, far more capable of resisting outside threats. But the peace could not last forever. By 1413, the Ottoman Civil War was over. Mehmed I had defeated and killed all his brothers and reunified the empire. The Ottomans once again had a single powerful ruler. And that ruler remembered Stefan's shifting allegiances during the interregnum. The relationship was tense. Stefan was forced once again to acknowledge Ottoman suzerainty, to walk that familiar tightrope. He was technically a vassal again, but a very different kind of vassal. He was now the master of a fortified, united, and prosperous Serbia. He was no longer a boy prince, but a powerful despot who had to be treated as a near equal, not a subordinate. As he grew older, Stefan faced a personal and political crisis. He had no children. The last thing he wanted was for his life's work to be undone by a succession crisis after his death. In a final act of statesmanship, he put the needs of his nation above any family pride. He publicly named his nephew and former rival, Juraj Brankovic, as his heir. He ensured the succession was accepted by both the Serbian nobility and his powerful neighbors, Hungary and the Ottomans. He was meticulously planning for a future he would not see, trying to guarantee that the Serbia he had rebuilt would survive him. In the summer of 1427, at the age of about 50, While hunting, despot Stefan Lazarevic suffered a massive stroke and died. His death was sudden, a quiet end for a man who had lived his entire life in the shadow of violent conflict. He had inherited a shattered, defeated nation on its knees. He was forced into the service of his enemy, a tool of the Ottoman war machine. Yet through incredible skill, patience, and a genius for survival, he had navigated the collapse of one empire and the civil war of another to forge a new destiny for his people. He gave Serbia 40 years of relative peace and prosperity, a golden age that would be remembered for centuries. So, what is his legacy? Was he a collaborator, a Christian knight who fought for the Sultan and helped solidify Ottoman control in the Balkans? Or was he a pragmatist, a savior who made impossible choices to buy his people precious time? The truth is, he was both. He served his conqueror, yes, but he learned from him. He mastered the arts of war and diplomacy in the deadliest school imaginable. And when the moment came, when the cage door swung open, he seized his chance not for personal glory, but to rebuild his home. He walked a razor's edge his entire life, and in doing so, he allowed his nation to survive. His story is a forgotten masterpiece of statecraft, a testament to the tragic genius of a leader forced to serve his conqueror.